Welcome to the Modern CPA Success Show, where we're 100% focused on helping accounting firms achieve success. If you're an accounting firm owner who wants to learn how to provide virtual CFO services, then this podcast is for you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's podcast. Adam, Jody, and I are super excited for today's guest. It's Rick Telberg from CPA Trendlines. I'm going to tell a quick story about Rick before I throw it over to him. He probably doesn't remember this, but when I was a manager at Grant Thornton about 10 years ago, we had the homework assignment of getting active at Twitter. And I actually started following Rick way back then. He was pretty big at that point. But the cool thing to me was I followed him, and the next day I had a message from him saying, "Why are you following me? What are you interested in? What kind of things are you looking for?" And I thought that was pretty cool with someone his size to reach out to just this small little manager at Grant Thornton, kind of curious what I was looking for. So that was my first memory with Rick. And obviously we've been involved with him here at Summit over the last couple of years as well. But Rick, you want to give us a little bit of your background and how you got started with CPA Trendlines?
Well, thanks a lot, Jamie. It's great to be here. I am Rick Telberg for CPA Trendlines, and I've been doing CPA Trendlines for about 10 years. Before that, did some .comming with the AI CPA and something called Pro2Net. And before that, started a little magazine called Accounting Today. I've been in this business for about 30 years now, and wow. It's been a heck of a ride. It's a terrific business to be in, terrific people, fantastic standards and behaviors and ethical goals and objectives that really appeal to me as a journalist in this area, as an analyst, as a commentator, and as a provider of what we like to call actionable intelligence.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you want to go into a little bit kind of how you curated your content, like I said, I appreciate you reaching out to me back then. I'm sure you probably did that with most people. Is that kind of how you got what content was interested to most of the CPAs out there?
Well, Jamie, we figure that if we're writing about what people are talking about, people are going to talk about what we write about. So we depend on people like you to tell us what's going on in the business. And when you tell us what's going on in the business and we replay that for our readers and followers, they respond to it. And it becomes a kind of snowball effect where we actually get into a conversation with our audience and the profession in general. I'd like to think of CPA Trendlines as a tavern, a bar, a saloon, a place where people can go and hang out.
Now you're talking.
Jordan's like, okay, drinks are involved. We're good. This is the Rick we know and love.
I'll drink anything. And at this tavern, you get to meet new and interesting people and find out things you didn't know before. And it's a friendly place to share information.
Yeah, I definitely feel that way about this, your website and your Twitter handle. Like I said, I see a lot of the articles you post out there, a lot of your links, and you can see all the conversation that's happening there. And so that is definitely very important to me as a CPA. So do you want to go a little bit into the space we're in, kind of the VCFO space and some of the trends you're seeing there and some of the conversations that are happening in that area right now?
The virtual CFO space is really hot right now. And it is almost by necessity, because of the age we're living in, the COVID age, that all of a sudden it has just exploded. It has threaded together the themes of client accounting and the move toward advisory work and the necessity to work remotely or virtual, that virtual CFO services, this is the time. This is the time for virtual CFO services. If we can't do virtual CFO services in this kind of market, in this kind of age, with these kinds of tools and our kind of training, then we'll never be able to do it.
What do you think holds people back from it? Because you get all these people that, I've spoken at many different seminars over the last few years, and they come to me like, oh, this is great, I love what you're doing, and then they always make an excuse why it's not going to work for them. What are you seeing? What do you think is truly holding some of those firms back?
Two things. One is they're making plenty of money doing what they're already doing.
Sure.
And most people in our business are making more money than they ever thought they would. Most people in our business are the stars in their family. Many people in our business are the first generation to go to work in a white collar business, let alone a profession. The sons and daughters of accountants will become lawyers and doctors. So many accountants are making more money than they ever thought they would. And they're very comfortable. They don't want to mess that up. They have client relationships that go back many years, and it's something they treasure and just really don't want to mess with. And the other factor is they're scared. Any kind of change is going to require a couple things. It's going to require retooling, which is not an insignificant investment when we have a limited amount of time. It's not an insignificant investment when we already have the tech platform that we're comfortable with. It's not an insignificant investment to launch a new service line. And I think third, they're just kind of shy about approaching clients or prospects with something new that they're still learning. Accountants need to do the work in order to do the work. They're going to learn on the job. And that's the most painful, expensive, and trying part of being an accountant is getting the skill set, getting the background, understanding the processes and procedures, and then being able to talk about it authoritatively. And accountants are very reluctant about trying to be prescriptive, trying to tell a prospect or a client what they need.
Why do you think that is? Because they've got the answers. They know the books better than the client does. They know what they're doing right and wrong. So what's holding them back from doing that? You think it's just themselves, or?
Well, there's two things. One is that it's not something they teach in accounting school.
Sure.
There's no accounting curriculum that teaches you how to run a business, which is kind of amazing, actually. Mm-hmm. That you don't get basic business principles by getting a degree in accounting. You don't get advanced lessons in strategy or leadership or management or entrepreneurial skills. So it's kind of interesting that's not part of the curriculum. It's also barely part of required CPE.
Sure.
So it's not something that the profession itself seems to value. Another factor is that a lot of people got into accounting because some teacher in high school or some guidance counselor said, "Hey, you're good at math. Why don't you become an accountant?"
Right.
And people got into it because they liked the work. They liked figuring out the problems. It took a while for some of them to figure out that they actually liked the clients. And the people who are most successful in this business are the ones who actually build a relationship with the clients. And the most successful accountants are the ones that really care about their clients. The ones that really care about their clients and can have those personal conversations with their clients are the ones that are best positioned to start to provide new services. And it's a skill that has to be acquired. And it takes small baby steps to start to build the confidence level that you have the skills to do that, you have the relationship to do that, and that the client will accept it. And that it might require some rejection if you're suggesting something new. It might require some new level of pricing, some new pricing formulas that violate, our adherence to timesheets. So
right.
all of these things combine to sort of create inertia in this business against any sort of change or progress. I think that one of the dynamics that's happening right now in this business is that people have to change.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the economy, because of the pandemic, because of the surge of technology, and because of the competition in a way from fintech and non-CPA accountants and non-accounting accountants, because of the new landscape, the new competitive landscape, accountants have to change. They can't afford not to, and so they're being pushed or actually pulled by their clients into all sorts of new things. For instance, no accountant ever dreamed they'd be doing PPP paperwork.
That's right.
So now accountants are doing PPP paperwork, but are they the tax people, the accounting people, the forensic people, the audit people? It's kind of interesting that when one firm I know lost its litigation support business, they found that those people happened to be really good at doing PPP work. So they shifted the litigation support people who were steeped in forensics to work in PPP. So they could be tax people, they could be audit people, they could be forensics, they could be consulting. What's interesting about the new phenomenon of PPP is that it's drawn on multiple disciplines of accountants. It's drawn on their relationships with bankers, for instance, that they didn't know they could leverage in this way. So this is a really interesting time to be doing virtual CFO work. It's a terrific time to be doing CFO work, and it's also absolutely necessary. So even though there's resistance, their clients won't stand for it. And if a client needs virtual CFO work and their accountant isn't going to deliver it, there's plenty of other accountants out there.
Oh yeah, to that point, it's amazing how many times we'll be in a sales call with a new prospect that found us on the web, and when the questions are, why are you leaving your existing CPA? He's like, well, because they don't offer this service. And I'm like, oh, okay, but they could easily do this service, no doubt about it. They just don't offer it in their the toolbox of services. And then you ask, well, how much are you currently paying for your CPA? Well, they meet with us quarterly or whatever, and maybe it's $4,000 or $5,000. And then when we talk to them, it's like, well, okay, well, here's what we're going to offer. Here's what we do. Here's all the different things we offer, and it's going to be $65,000. A lot of times they're like, wow, that's cheaper than I thought it was going to be. And they just went from a CPA that maybe had a hard time even upselling, from a $5,000 or $10,000 service, and there's no way that they'll ever want to jump on a $60,000 service. And in reality, that's really what they want. They want more than just tax work. They want more than just auditing work. They want more than just a bookkeeping. They want somebody that's going to actually help them get to the next stage and prevent them from things that did happen in COVID. Hey, how could you prevent that? Well, if you had a lot of cash in the bank, it wouldn't have been as bad than if you didn't. Even when your doors shut down for 2 months, a month, or whatever, that's the guidance that they're looking for, and it's coming more and more. We're getting tons of calls right now, from your clients out there that CPA firm clients that are looking for more than just an accountant. And I think you hit it right on the nose. This is the perfect timing for it.
Yeah, it seems like, though, to me, it's like we just suffer from being able to define it and put it on paper, because I think that most CPA firms do this. They just do it not deliberately. They don't package it. They don't have the forced meetings. It's usually, ask me, I'll shake the 8 ball and tell you what the answer is. So I think almost all of them do it. And whenever they hear about, I think it's really confusing out there, the terminology, because you have like BOSS systems for back office systems. You have CAS, which most people put CAS, virtual CFO services. That, to me, CAS is bookkeeping. That's really what it is. And then you hear fractional CFOs. Well, fractional CFOs, to me, have an expiration date. They serve a purpose. You come in, you snipe a situation. Even part-time CFOs, or usually whenever they're just like fill in. So you're like solving for a time problem whenever there's a gap. with us, what we're trying to do, and I mean, I'd be interested in hearing your feedback on this, Rick, is just try to create what virtual CFO services actually mean. It's advisory services delivered in a very deliberate way. And then I think what I hear mostly whenever I'm talking to CPA firms is they just don't know how or what to talk about and when, kind of on a regular basis. They have all the information, they just don't know how to, because we're very system driven type people. How does that fit? Because we have the litigation support department, we have this, like, it just feels like we just need to do a better job of like defining what VCFO means and separate it from like all the other kind of terminology that's floating out there.
Adam, I think you're right. And I think one of the things that Summit is doing in this marketplace is defining virtual CFO services very specifically and differentiating from fractional CFOs and client accounting services and bookkeeping and accounting. And you've been able to put together a package that defines what virtual CFO services are for this marketplace. No one else has been as clear in drawing the lines around virtual CFO services as Summit CPA right now. You're definitely the market leaders in that. Congratulations to you.
Oh, thanks, for sure.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And I think that's just it. I just feel like if you name it, and then even if you don't really buy into our exact like methodology, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of like just putting that framework around it and really being business advisor first and accountant second. All the CPA firms that I talk to, I feel like they all have the ability to do it and they have the relationships with the client to do it. But for some reason, and you kind of hit on a lot of the reasons why they don't proactively give that advice. But I think that's important in framing it out and kind of forcing that conversation.
I call it the accidental accountant syndrome. The first time an accountant does something new and the client likes it, it was by accident. And if you're smart about your business, you'll figure out a way to try to do it again.
Yeah,
that sounds actually like us.
Yeah,
That's actually how just about everything came. Hey guys, this actually worked. We should talk about how to do this across the entire team. So yeah, that's we're very familiar with that. Good to have a name for it though.
So my next question for you is so, one of the problems we have with hiring, and I'm not sure it's necessarily a problem, but one of the obstacles we run into is who's the right fit for this services. Like we interview tax people, we interview audit people, we interview people from industry, we interview bookkeepers, and it seems like we've had good luck with all of those and bad luck with all of those. And so I'm just curious from your mind, what type of firm is the best, or are they all good to take on this type of services into their firm?
Thanks for the question, Jamie. It kind of dovetails with something else that's going on in the business, which is some of the best hires are not accountants at all. We can teach people how to do accounting. We can't teach them how to develop a good business relationship. They have to have a knack, a feel, an instinct for building a business relationship. They have to have some experience or some insight into how a business operates and how an owner-operator thinks through their problems in a business. So we can teach almost anybody to do accounting, especially with the tools we have now. What we're learning is that we need people who have skills we can't teach them, skills in management, analysis, leadership, strategy, marketing, and all the technologies that are involved in the day-to-day running of a business. So the kinds of people that we're looking for in terms of hiring are not necessarily accountants. And in fact, 25% of the new hires going into the largest firms are not accounting graduates at all. And I think smaller firms are beginning to understand that, and I'm seeing more acquisitions among mid-sized firms of non-CPA firms.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like when I moved to Summit, I turned more into a finance person than an accounting. Like sometimes when I was a CFO, I'd go, months without doing any actual accounting work. I was just talking business and I was doing those type of analysis. Like I definitely leaned away from my accounting background that I had prior to that.
Yeah, even to the point we've went and we've hired a marketing director. We're hiring a lot more marketing people, which is not very common in accounting firms. It's not until you get to the $15 million stage or the $20 million stage you have a director in marketing. We had one when we were at $5 million, and because of that, we're going to be at $7 million this year and $10 million in a couple of years, just because that's so essential in the whole process. So not just the consulting type person that may or may not be an accountant, but other parts of your company, the marketing, the finance, the accounting, the whole
DevOps,
thing.
yeah, because IT, we've made big investments there as well. So yeah, it takes a full mix of people, and we've even hired, a non-CPA to be the CFO. So, just recognizing that it is those innate soft skills or business skills and somebody to be able to tell the right story and lead a client is more important than understanding which side of the debit and credit is. I mean, don't get me wrong, like some of that stuff's permission to play, but that just kind of gets your, our clients kind of expect that we know that stuff about accounting, but what they really want from us is, what would you do? You're the finance person. So a lot of times we lead our client conversations because I don't want to say, hey, I know how to do plumbing better than you or roofing or whatever. The conversation a lot of time is more, financially speaking, this is what we should do. And I think clients really appreciate hearing somebody in their ear saying, hey, I get it from a financial perspective, this is the right way to go. But, that in mind, I think I'm still going to go this way, but I'll keep that in mind as I go. Or of course, let's go left, not right. So yeah, having that consultant voice is important. And I don't know that it matters that if you're a CPA or not.
Adam, Jody, I hear what you're saying. The fact is, accounting will take care of itself. It'll get done one way or the other. The tax returns will get filed one way or the other because we have the deadlines, we have the systems, we can do them in our sleep. Sometimes we do. We really need to focus on are the things beyond taxes in accounting, the things that move us to the edge of the envelope and beyond. The things that clients don't take for granted. They take for granted that their taxes will get filed. They take for granted that they'll get a monthly P&L. What we need to do in this business is learn how to surprise, dazzle, amaze our clients in ways that they didn't know they needed until we brought it up.
Well, I think the interesting thing too is we just hired a project manager to be our onboarding specialist. And I think what she does really well is she looks at the problem from a different angle. And so she's asking our accountants and challenging our accountants all the time is, why are you doing it like that? And the first answer is always because that's why we've always done it. And she's really able to push that button and ask a lot of questions. And I think we've probably seen more growth in a lot of processes in the last 9 months since we've hired her than we did for a while there, just because we're looking at things in a lot of different ways. So I think that's another benefit of that area.
Yeah, and no accounting experience.
Yeah, no accounting experience. Yeah, that's very helpful.
And Jamie, when you bring in people from other disciplines, they come in with other perspectives, and you get the best of all perspectives and all disciplines and everybody's background when you can bring in people with as diverse a skill set and background as possible. And if you're a good company and you're a good firm and you have good managers and good leadership, you can learn how to blend those things together.
For sure. So I'm just going to take a quick second here to throw our email address out there. I want to make sure people can reach out to us. We're always looking for great guests like Rick. So if you want to be a guest on our show, you can email us. Or if you have a topic you want us to discuss, we'd love to hear from you. So that email address is cpa@summitcpa.net. Again, cpa@summitcpa.net. So we have a couple minutes left here, Rick. You want to throw some contact information out for you before we get to those final thoughts?
If anyone wants to reach me, you can find me at cpatrendlines.com. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, but you can always find me at cpatrendlines.com.
And why would they reach out to you, Rick? Why would somebody reach out to you?
Well, I'm always looking for new voices. I'm looking for people who have something to say that is fact-based and strongly articulated. But I'm also looking for questions. What questions do you have in running a practice or moving to the next step? What solutions are you looking for? Because those help shape what we put into CPA Trendlines. Your questions are probably more important than any of the answers that anybody can deliver for you. If you ask the right questions, you'll get the right answers. Every great idea starts with a question.
That's awesome. That's the recipe for a consultant too. I remember we heard that very early on when we started this, going down this path, is just ask questions. And Adam says it all the time. Just have to ask questions, and a lot of times that gets you in the right direction. So that's a great tip. So any other final thoughts for our listeners? Again, just see if virtual CFOs out there, bookkeepers out there, anything else they should consider before we shut this thing down?
If anybody was thinking about making a move, now's the time to do it. Whether it's virtual CFO services or half a dozen other possibilities. But virtual CFO services is obviously one of the hottest things going on in this business right now. And if you want to learn how to do it, Summit CPA is a great place to learn how to do it.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
that's great.
And Rick, thanks for everything you do for the industry, both professionally. As Jamie said, you're a resource for a lot of people. And it's really cool how you're able to pull that content up and help answer those questions for people. But also personally, you've been a big resource for us here at Summit and for Jody and I especially. Anytime we have questions, you've always been very helpful. And so definitely appreciate your time and everything you've done for us thus far.
Yeah, and I just appreciate you being a friend. Thanks for being a friend. You've been a great friend for the last few years that I've got to know you, and it's been a great relationship from the time we met in a bar in New York City until now we're meeting virtually. And it'll be virtually probably for some time. And I definitely appreciate that for sure.
Well, Jody, Adam, Jamie, thank you very much. Jamie, see you on Twitter.
Yeah, I'll see you on there. Thanks for joining, everybody.
And Rick, hopefully we'll see you in a bar.
You can count on that.
Awesome. Great show. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Yeah, that was awesome, Rick. Appreciate you coming on.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Enjoy this episode? Visit our website at summitcpa.net to get more tips and strategies for achieving modern CPA firm success. We're here to be a resource in this ever-changing industry.